I'm here with Charles Jones III and Gregor Posadas, who have leadership roles on the MLK Living Legacy Committee. So thank you guys for joining me today.
Thank you for having for us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our conversation. So before we dive into what the MLK Living Legacy Committee is like and your roles in it, our question of the day, to start off on a fun note, is if Boise State had a campus-wide talent show, what would your performance be in it?
Oh wow.
Okay, you go ahead, Charles.
Okay. Well, a live one for campus. For me, I would sing.
All right.
Honestly, it'd probably be something old school, maybe some Stevie Wonder, maybe.
Awesome.
Honestly, I love like Motown, so really, I would probably do one of those old school songs. Really,
Cool.
I just love it.
How long have you been singing for?
Oh, I have been singing pretty much all my life. I've been in choirs in like middle school, elementary, middle, high school. I even did 3 years here.
Oh, okay. Like in the choir here?
Yeah, at Meister's and in our jazz choir. I also sang like in a performance one, like nationally televised.
Oh, wow. When was that?
I've done twice too. One was after I graduated in high school, which was like a Christian like gospel concert.
Awesome.
It was at the Idaho Ford Center. And then the other one was actually my sophomore year here. We at the Egyptian Theater, we did the PBS special where we met like Matt Doyle, a few local artists. All choirs were given like a group song to sing. It was How Can I Keep From Singing? And we sang that live. We were actually there with takes. We did like 3 or 2 takes singing like repetitive. I actually sang in a trio with 2 other people. With the song was Calling My Children Home, which was like an old kind of gospel, which is also in my wheelhouse growing up in the church.
Oh, that's really cool. Have anything you want to sing for us?
Oh God.
On the spot?
I guess
You don't have to, but that would be fun. But I mean, you have a mic and you're in a studio, so.
Look, Charles has sang in the last. Did you sing in the last MLK Day, or was it?
Oh, you did? Okay.
That was
the one before that.
The one before that. It was
before
to
that.
welcome us back. It was.
Oh.
It wasn't planned actually. It was like every.
Oh, so you do sing spontaneously.
He does on
do.
occasion.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Gregor, what would your talent be?
Well, if we're now that we're on the musical discussion
Okay.
now, I would definitely love to play the piano again in front of an audience. I did learn how to play the piano when I started when I was 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Back when I was still living in the Philippines, and then I still play to this day, but just as a hobby now, nothing too serious. But it's been a while since I've last played in front of a huge audience. The last time was like when I was 12, and it was like a piano recital thing. Yeah.
So cool. Do you ever go to the piano in the sub and just...
I've always wanted to, but I'm too shy.
Yeah.
It just gets...
You should do it.
I do get stage fright, but if I do get the chance, I would love to play Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorites to play on the piano. So yeah, I don't know, Charles. Maybe we should just do a duet, or something like
That would
that.
be amazing.
Honestly,
there
why
you
not?
go.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love that.
Yeah, we'll do that next time.
It's one of my favorite places to sit in the sub is upstairs near the piano, and whenever people are just brave enough to go up there and play their song, like the ambiance just gets so much better.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm heading to the Student Equity Center, I'll hear someone playing. I'll be like, I wish that could be me.
It could be. Just gotta do it. That's a really good skill to have. I started learning piano when I was in middle school and then stopped because I didn't have time in high school anymore. But that's probably one of the biggest regrets of my life, to be honest.
And that's typically what happens too.
Yeah, very cool. My talent show or my talent show performance, well, if it were more professional, probably I love dancing, and I've had a few performances in the last week or last couple of weeks. So like we could combine all of our strengths. If you sing and you play piano and I do some ballet, that would be really cool.
Oh, honestly, and I can even know the perfect song, Moon River.
Okay.
Yeah, I just sing a little bit.
I like that.
You play, the spotlight be on you really big. Oh man, that'd be perfect.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to plan this some other time because that would be really fun.
Yeah.
But I think that Boise State should do a talent show.
I think so too.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, to transition to, I just want to hear more about your guys' stories and why you are where you are right now in the MLK committee. So to start off with, describe for me what the MLK Living Legacy Committee is to someone who has no knowledge about it. Like, how would you describe it?
Well, the MLK Living Legacy Committee, well, most people would think first and foremost we're like an organization, like some kind of club on campus, but we're actually not. We're a student agency. This is a group of students for students by students. This is a student agency. This is like a paid position. This is under the Student Equity Center department, actually. So one of the main gist is that we do is that we are in charge of the MLK Day of Greatness that happens in January. We are in charge of how the events that happen that week, the annual march from here to the Capitol, and followed by a speaker either that night or the following day. It's more of advocating for students, really, and helping rebuild community within Boise State mostly. So that's what I would describe it.
Yeah. What kind of advocacy do you do for students?
Yeah, I think the main advocacy that we're working on right now is trying to build a beloved community, as was the vision of Dr. Martin Luther King. And that means, for us, that translates into us trying to get more collaboration between different, student groups on campus, as well as just the general community overall. And so we try to do that by, organizing events that, sort of involve the various student organizations on campus. That way we can actually start working together and, seeing each other, be together, that sort of stuff.
Okay, so you collaborate with other student organizations.
Yeah.
What are some of those other organizations?
One of the organizations that we actually mostly partner with is the Black Student Association. As a matter of fact, in 2022, or 2023, we actually hosted the first Black History Gala because the school is always, everyone knows that February is Black History Month, and the school is always asking the Student Equity Center, hey, what can we do? What kind of events, what's going on in that day? And so myself and the president at the time, Jason Holman, we both got together and we decided to do a Black History Gala. So what the gala really consists of really is pretty much showcasing Black excellence. That year we had 4 stations that really showcased 4 Black cooks really and what they cook really. So there was a list of the ingredients of what they cooked, where they cook, and what the person's name is, and you got to taste the food. We had a nice little spread. MLK helped in paying for it at the time. And one of the things to do is that we do a scholarship kind of benefit really. So we mostly partner with that. Another group that we intentionally help with is with the IESC, which is part of ASBSU. Actually, a little fun fact is that when they were forming the MLK chair of that time, Milan helped actually create it, which brings people together, which helps with inclusivity here with marginalized communities here on campus. They're actually a part of the student government here, but we help in partnership with them. I know they just did a fashion show.
Oh, so fun.
While
I think
back.
I saw pictures of that on Instagram.
Yeah.
And a few of our delegates helped either donated or helped showcased in that. So we mostly help with a lot of groups. We want to do more we do kind of campus insiders actually with other groups, which is little tidbits of what these groups do to help bring more awareness and showcase their groups more. So really, we pretty much partner with everybody really.
Awesome. So you like to do a lot of collaboration with other student organizations. Are there is there anything that you hope to see in the future as far as collaboration, whether it's with new groups or new events with the student organizations you're already partnering with?
Yeah, definitely. I think the number one thing that I really want to see is that, even outside of these events that MLK organizes, I definitely just want to see people stop by at the Student Equity Center and say, hi Charles, hi Gregor, and just establish those friendships between the different groups, because we can organize as much as we want, but at the end of the day, what really matters here is trying to make a community, and we can't really make a community if it's forced in nature.
True.
It would be really good for these relationships to sort of develop naturally. And so, yeah, I mean, the main way that we're trying to do that right now is by trying to, get people in the same space. Not necessarily like, tell people, hey, you should be here because this is, for everyone's good. No, we definitely want people to just be like, show up and ask us like, hey, how can we help? Or, do you guys need help with anything? Something like that. What do you think, Charles?
Yeah, really. I know like the center, like just come bring more community awareness. Like it's just that sense of like belonging. I know for us when we first started here, like trying to find people who like had the same issues as we did, kind of like same goals, like people who look like us. Really, that was something that was kind of a hard thing to do. I know when I started, I'm like, nah, I won't find someone like that. But the first meeting I went to, I saw people who looked like me, who had the same issues as me, and it felt like that community. It's like home, and where though I have other jobs, like we always go into the center because it's not like a place where we can just do homework and stuff. It's like a place where our friends meet, hang out. I know a lot of us sometimes go out and about a lot of times. In the past, we actually participated in a few events that the school hosted, which was, I don't know why they stopped it, but it was the Bronco Cup during homecoming week.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah, it was basically like, if any of you remember like high school, how the events that happened leading up to the homecoming game, there would be like a physical event, some trivia, lip syncs actually. We participated in 2 of them actually. And we actually were the first Black group to win it after COVID happened.
All right, awesome.
We always get together. Sometimes we'll see movies, go out for lunches, go to galas, but even go on trips. I know we recently went to New Orleans for like encore. So it's just building memories to last a lifetime, really.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, what got me first started with the committee and just being in the space of the Student Equity Center. I was a freshman here who had just come from the Philippines, and I didn't know anyone. And so I was trying to look for that, sense of community. And so I got introduced to the Student Equity Center. And at the time, the Martin Luther King Committee was also, present in that space. And so I got introduced to the committee, and, now it's been almost 5 years since I've joined, and yeah, it's definitely been a while. But no, I'm definitely grateful that I got to be part of the committee, because through the committee I was able to meet so many cool people, not just within the Student Equity Center. We've worked with a lot of different groups outside of the university as well, and so yeah, just through it's just been a journey of like meeting different people. Yeah.
So transitioning from the Philippines straight to Boise, is the committee where the majority of your community came from? Were there any other challenges with that transition to Boise State?
Yeah, I think there definitely was, because I will admit I was definitely like a lot more introverted when I was a freshman, when I started with the committee. And so being as new as I was at the time, I definitely was afraid to like talk to different people. I was even just afraid to like, reach out to like, the university asking for like, how do we do this event? Like stuff like that was definitely a challenge, but I think that was more of a personal thing for me to overcome. But on that note, I also think that the committee really helped me in that, we were there just helping each other out and trying to figure things out, because again, we're a student agency. And so we're all just students, working for the university in this aspect. And so we're at the same time that we're, taking classes and learning, we're also doing this work. And so I really had to find a balance with that, as well as trying to, grow personally as well. And I'm really thankful for the committee, because, through my work with them, I was able to meet different people. And eventually I just got out of my shell, and, I was able to help establish new connections for the committee as well. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And I went up to the Student Equity Center to meet you guys, and it just seemed like a very calming space. And there wasn't a lot of people bustling around, but I'm sure that looks different on different occasions. And that's where you guys have your meetings mostly, or just the making memories like you were talking about. Were there any other specific memories of being a part of the committee that just stand out to you as marking this is what the committee is about?
It actually was during when we came back, because as everyone knows, like we were during a lockdown, we couldn't do a lot more. But when we came back in like 2023. We usually, like I said, we hold the march from here to the Capitol. So we'll start in the sub and we'll go straight to the Capitol. We usually start early, like 8, 7 in the morning. And like when we get there, we're seeing people already line up. Someone comes up to us because the speaker we had at the time was Dr. Ibram Kendi. He's like one of the best leading doctors here or writers around racism in the country at the time. And so they came and they're like, so when does he speak? Like today? And like, yes. And they said, but I thought it was at 6 a.m. I'm like, no, it's 6 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, you were willing to get up at 6 in the morning to hear this guy speak?
All right, that's dedication.
But yeah, we see like it was already the most packed we had like in that morning. Like we were filling up everything, and it's what's rare is that you don't see is like people after the march they usually just go off their separate ways. A lot of people stayed because we held it in Jordan Ballroom, and Jordan can only hold up to like 1,400 people, and we packed that whole place.
Yeah.
And this is like community members and students, all the above?
Yeah, community members. Actually, like when I posted who the speaker was going to be online, I went to Meridian to go see my old high school because they did a play and I wanted to see it. And my old teacher came up to me and she's like, oh, I hear Dr. Kendi speaking. I can't wait to go. And in my head, I'm like, how did you know this? I posted this like 5 minutes ago. This cannot be trending already. And our advisor, who is Ro Parker, she told us, Jordan may not be big enough. And like, it was like that sense of community because we were wondering how are we going to relaunch this? Like we're back, like seeing like could the community like still be with us, really? And then just to see that turnout just showed like this is the work we live for. Honestly, like we go through a lot in this country, and sometimes it does take a lot of our time, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Oftentimes, when hiring people, I had to ask like, hey, if you need to take time to step away, it's fine. But that just showed that the work, what we do matters here. What we do is important, and it just to see the fruits of the labor, it's just the greatest satisfaction ever.
Yeah. And can you describe for me what each of your roles are within the committee?
Okay, when we last talked, I am the MLK chair. I'm also, outgoing now, MLK chair. I will be the post chair. So what my job currently will be is focusing like on the outwards of the committee, like trying how to help expand it. So as chair, I was like in charge of like leadership, like meetings, mostly being like pretty much the figurehead of the group. But now I'm thinking more of like the background scenes, like stepping down. So have a new person who her name is going to be Kai Gareth. She's going to take over, and as post chair, what I'm going to be doing is like helping like build more connections and networking. What I want to start with is like an alumni chapter,
cool.
Kind of like that. So it's like really like helping build the community. So that's currently what I am doing.
And building the community beyond college too.
Exactly.
I like
yes.
that.
Yeah.
What about you, Gregor?
And for my position, I'm the marketing delegate for the committee, and so my job is mainly just trying to make sure that any events that we organize, the details for those events reach different student organizations, and then trying to make sure that I'm collaborating as much as I can with the university. And so that means me just talking to like the communications department and making sure that I ask them like, hey, could this be advertised on the university's official social media or stuff like that. And the other side to that is that I'm also the committee's graphic designer. And so my job, which is kind of funny because my major is in civil engineering, and so one would think, what are you doing graphic design? And so
creative outlet?
Yeah, no, I had to learn how to do graphic design based on like the university's brand standards. And it's funny because I think the last MLK day, the idea was, and this was probably like my biggest priority for the time, was as the marketing delegate, was to make sure that we had updated the MLK Day T-shirts for the 2024 celebration. And so it was a lot of back and forth between me and the university's branding committee, because the community members had told me that they wanted to see, the old black and white T-shirts to come back. But the university was telling us, the committee, that we could only do blue and orange because those were Boise State's colors.
Yes.
And, this was a Boise State sponsored event. And so I had to sort of navigate through that, I don't want to say bureaucratic, but like I had to be very careful on like how I designed the new T-shirts, and it ultimately came up really really nice, I think, in terms of like how it appeared, because we ultimately designed a T-shirt that incorporated, subtle hints of blue, subtle hints of, Boise State orange, but we also made sure that, the general motif was like black and white, and so we had, MLK's hand during was it the march in Washington?
Yeah,
Yeah,
March of Washington.
Yeah, back when he was giving his speech, his "I Have a Dream" speech, and so we used the hand that he held up, and we sort of incorporated it into the T-shirt design. And so once the T-shirt was officially distributed on MLK Day, everybody was really happy. They were like, we really love these T-shirts, and these are. I don't want to say this, but like they were like they're definitely better than what last year had, and so I was just really happy about that, and it's through that, my work as a marketing delegate, even though sometimes people think like, how's graphic design going to help with this sort of work, at that point I was like, this is how it's going to help, and so yeah,
and then that gives people something to walk away with and remember every time they take it out of their closet, like that day. So that's really cool that you get to use those creative skills to benefit the committee and the events and the march that you do. You mentioned the committee's values are based around Martin Luther King Jr. and his values. Can you elaborate on what some of those values are and which ones are most important to you guys?
Now, the values, like one of the things that I said on the speech was to judge someone not by the color of their skin, but by their character. We always try to show great character in no matter what we do, really. It's the cornerstone of who we are. And just one of the values, which is just resilience and nonviolence. We are like one of the most unique groups here on campus, more unique than ASBSU. Pretty much more, we don't really follow guidelines than any club does. So it's like that with great power comes great responsibility kind of aspects, because we were established in '89 by Eric Love, and we have been pretty much at the precipice, at the front hold of every major event that's happened in this country, from like the AIDS crisis to 9/11, and even currently with Black Lives Matter with George Floyd. So we have a platform, and we have it in a unique way where the university like sometimes can't really tell us how we can navigate it, but we have to navigate it into where we don't put the university into a bad spot. So it's using that value of nonviolence to show like that greater response of the maturity that we have. But it's one of the things that we always use, because we know that with this voice we will sometimes stir the pot. We sometimes have to always be careful on what we say, but not censoring ourselves in the sense of trying to silence ourselves, but in the sense of the community, since that is what Dr. King had to always navigate during his time. Granted, we have a lot more advantages than he did back in his time, a lot more support, not a lot of like bodily harm or threats, but it's using that value, and for me personally, it's faith. Being chair, when I took over as chair, and I'll brief, is that I didn't start out as the chair. I was a delegate. I was probably like one of the delegates who helped with social media first starting out with like when we moved online when COVID happened. But then when we were told that we couldn't use the Zoom platform for Boise State, a lot of the majority of the delegates left, and I was designated survivor as the chair. And so as the chair, during this turbulent time when we're facing political unrest, an election backlash, and civil unrest, I knew that this group had to be strong, that we couldn't stay the same way. We keep the values, but we evolve. We keep the message of Dr. King, but the groups who take on this MLK group, it's expanded greatly. It's expanded toward the message of nonviolence, which is the foundation of who we are because of the message and the uniqueness of what we are. This is something that I feel like we all embody. So always like being non-confrontive, non-conflictive. And it's pretty much like taking that step that makes us like why we've managed to be here so long, especially when the community has tried to bring us down. We've been here for like 34 years, hopefully going on to 40. And so these are some of the values that, for me, that I feel like we are pretty much every delegate embodies.
Yeah, and that sounds like a very delicate balance, like you were describing, of not censoring what needs to be said, but also considering how that's going to be perceived. And with word and action, too, what you said about character, I really liked, because that's how we know someone, like the fruit of their character. And that's how we know, like, the kind of person that they are. And the fact that character and faith are the basis of what strengthens you is a really valuable thing, for sure. Gregor, is there anything you would add as far as the values that are really important to you?
Yeah, when I finished my undergrad, I had the privilege of speaking at the graduating student leader event that was hosted by the university's Student Involvement and Leadership Center. And I got nominated for that award because of my work that I did with the committee. And I specifically said during my keynote speech at the event, I told everyone that, leadership is probably one of the biggest things that, the committee has to tackle with in terms of values. And, I also mentioned that, it's leadership, manifests itself in those, late hours at night where you could be sleeping, but instead you're up doing something far greater than yourself. And so that's really what I want people to know about the values that are important to the committee, is the fact that we are student leaders, and the fact that the work that we do is not necessarily something that we have to be doing. I mean, if you think about it, I could have spent my last 4 years just focusing on my civil engineering coursework. But the work that I did with the committee, the work that Charles does for the committee, we all did this outside of the time that we had to be working on other things. And so what's really nice, and this isn't just, something that the committee is, special in or anything like that. This goes for all student organizations, any type of, volunteer work that goes on campus, is the fact that, when you're deciding to take on extra responsibility, that's leadership right there. Don't think that, the work that you're doing is, small in the grand scheme of things. Whatever you do to help outside of what you should be doing, that's already extra work. I mean, the beauty of the committee is that we take on these very challenging roles. We take on these very challenging tasks, like organizing this huge MLK Day event, which, funnily enough, our founder, as a student, he started this in Idaho back in the 80s. And so, just from that point, in the past, where, our former MLK chair and founder, Eric Love, he was just a student when he decided that he would, go up to, at the time, Governor Cecil Andrews and be like, we should have an MLK Day here in Idaho. And he did that as a student. And so that's just taking leadership, taking charge, being able to say, enough is enough. I'm going to put in the extra work, and then I want to see some change. That's, I think, how the MLK, manifests the value of leadership.
Yeah, I've never thought of leadership in that way before, and how it's stepping outside of what you're required to do to take the extra step to see something all the way through. And that goes back to the character, like showing your character of commitment to what you're passionate about. So it's really cool to see that you guys have put so much work and effort and obviously passion into the MLK Living Legacy Committee, and seeing that community grow, whether it's in the student body and the just Boise community at large. And it's really encouraging to hear that you're striving for so much collaboration. So how can students get involved with this committee, and where can they hear about other updates besides this podcast?
Well, what we're trying to do is do a handshake, because we're currently looking to hire more people.
Okay, awesome.
Like a treasurer, really. You can find us at our website, the MLK Living Legacy, on Instagram. Really, we always update what we do, what events are. We're currently in the process of updating our webpage on the Boise State University page that shows all what we've done in the past. We even have like list of speakers who we've brought here from recently and to almost back to 89. So really looking on us on Instagram will show like what we do, events, who we're partnering with. I know we're trying to bring back Big Bites and Big Talks, or Bites and Big Talks, which will be where in the center we have some food given to us, and there's going to be a topic that Kai is going to lead, a topic on what's going to be like. It could be slow, like how's your semester been on campus, to even big topics to like how do you feel like this election is going to affect the outcome in Idaho? And so it's really like getting students to think on like really the bigger issues and like starting slow, because as college students, we are the next generation. We are, I know in high school, most people said it because I said it, Gregor said it, we are like, oh, this is very important. How does that affect me? Because we're like, it's like it affects you, but you're like at this age, like, I'll worry about it like when I'm 30 or something.
Like, how does it apply to my life right now? Yeah,
like right now. So we always, so that's what something weird, like one of our annual things, like weekly things we'll be doing, along with like partnershiping. I know we have a Facebook page as well that will show what we do. We also like do videos of like past speeches and speakers of what we do, really. Currently, like that, like, yeah, that's just like how students can get involved, like see what we can do, like see like if they want to join us. Like, yeah, I know like we currently have like 6 positions. Like the goal is hopefully to expand it to like more, and not just for the needs of MLK, but for the needs of like students, to see what it is that like things that we've missed, that students feel like, hey, this is something like I feel like you guys could do great, like here, and like we can say like, oh yeah, no, I didn't think of that. Like, yeah, come join us, talk to us, like come help us, like talk to us, because we are here to advocate for students really in any way possible.
Absolutely. So for students listening, if you have ideas or need to voice concerns, go up to the Student Equity Center, or if you just need a place to just unwind and relax and meet some really great people, just to have people to listen to, like Gregor and Charles will probably be there. Or someone else that is willing to sit down, listen to your needs, and so they can find out information on the MLK Living Legacy website, correct?
Yep.
And Instagram. So if you ever see events, just step outside your comfort zone and go to, is it called Bites and Big Talk?
Yep, Bites and Big Talk.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what's better than free food and good conversation and great community?
Yeah.
So get outside of your comfort zone and go see these events that they have putting on, or that they are putting on. And swing by the Student Equity Center.
Yeah, and for the most part, we're almost always at the Student Equity Center, and if we're not, there's someone there who knows of us. And so, I mean, most of our friends are in there, and so you can always ask someone in the Student Equity Center. That space is dedicated for students, so use that space as much as you want. Make the most out of it. So come by as much as you want.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're seeking community, if you're seeking belonging, there's a place for you, whether it's the Student Equity Center or somewhere else around campus. There is not a shortage of student organizations, clubs, committees that are willing to reach out to students and help them find belonging. So thank you guys so much for being on the podcast today and sharing your stories and your values and what the MLK Living Legacy Committee is doing. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like this video and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes with all the exciting guests we have coming up. We love hearing your stories and perspectives, so if you have one to share or you know of someone who you think would make a great guest on the podcast, reach out to us via the Student Life website, email studentlife@boisestate.edu, or DM us on Instagram. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Boise State Student Life. Thanks for listening. Now go get a student life.